Hey guys, it's Symphony and welcome to my channel. So for today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to do a full face for beginners. This is just the basics. It's very simple to do. It can be worn every day. And the best part is it's budget friendly. So without further ado, let's get into it. So starting with the eyebrows, I'm going to be filling them in with my Maybelline Tattoo Brow in the shade Deep Brown. This is a pomade. I feel like pomades are easier to blend than pencils, which is why I'm using it for this beginner tutorial. So I'm going to underline first, and I like to start in the middle just to avoid making the front look too harsh. So I'm taking that to the tail and then going back in the front and connecting the line. So now I'm going to brush the hairs down and line the top. I again start in the middle and then connect the line to the tail, except this time I'm not going to go to the front. So now I'm just going to fill in the tail of my brow while gradually working my way up to the front to create that ombre brow effect. So now I'm just going to blend that bottom underline into the front of my brow. Again, we want to create that very natural ombre effect, and it should look like that when you're done. So now you want to get your foundation and a damp beauty sponge, not a dry one but a damp one. And this is the Bobbi Brown foundation, but it's a pretty penny, so I like the Revlon one as well. But today we're going to use the Bobbi Brown. It blends really nicely and it doesn't look cakey at all. By the way, I recommend putting it on your hand so that you can avoid putting on too much. But yeah, we're just going to take the beauty blender and blend that in. So now we're just going to take our concealer, and if you've been watching my channel for a while, you know what concealer this is, but if you're new here, this is the LA Girl Pro Conceal. It's my absolute favorite for carving out my brows. I love the applicator on it. It makes it super easy to make a precise carve, I guess. So you basically just want to outline the shape that you just created. Also guys, I'm going to be using two different concealers in this video because, well, I'm a little extra, but you want the concealer that you use to carve out your brows to be a little bit closer to your skin tone versus a little bit lighter, like for highlighting purposes, because otherwise it can look a little funny when you blend it out. So now I'm just going to use that same concealer to prime my lids because we're going to be doing neutral eyeshadow, so I don't necessarily need the colors to pop like I would if I was using like actual colors. So now I'm just going to blend all that. This is the brush that I'm using, and don't mind mine. Mine is full of concealer, but you get the point. So now for my second concealer, I'm going to be using the ColourPop Pretty Fresh. This one is a little bit lighter because I'm going to be using it for highlighting purposes. So I'm just going to do a line down near the inner corner, going downwards and then outwards on the outer corner, just to lift my face a little bit. So now you want to grab your damp sponge again and blend that out. I really like these smaller ones from Real Techniques. I feel like they make it much easier to get into the hard to reach places. So now I'm going to also highlight down the bridge of my nose and also my Cupid's bow and a little bit on the forehead. We're not going to go too crazy, of course. So now to set, I'm going to be using a finishing powder instead of a translucent powder, which is my skin tone. I feel like this is a lot easier just because you don't have to worry about like flashback or anything like that. So I'm going to set my lids, and I'm also going to set the areas where I get oily. So my nose, my forehead, and my smile lines. And then I'm also going to set under the eyes. So now I'm going to contour a little bit to give myself a little bit more dimension so I don't look flat. You don't want to use something that's too much darker than your skin tone just because it can be hard to blend. So I'm actually using a bronzer this time, but usually I use a concealer. So yeah, just make sure you use a concealer that's not too dark. So I'm just going to be contouring my cheekbones and my nose just because I feel like my forehead's not that big, so I don't really need to contour it, but I mean, you want to contour for your face. For my nose, I'm using a small like sculpting brush. This is actually for eyeshadow, but I feel like it's much easier since your nose is a small area.
So now for highlighter, this is my favorite part. This is the Mega Honey highlighter from Makeup Obsession. I got this at Target. It is very golden, so if this is a little bit too golden for you, you can always use a more bronzy tone, but I really like this one. I use it every single day, and I'm just using a Real Techniques fan brush. I like to apply this on my cheekbones, well, the top of my cheekbones, my nose, and also my cupid's bow. So now for the eyes, I'm going to be using the LA Girl The Nudist palette. I found this at Ulta for like $10, so super affordable, and it pretty much has everything you would need for a natural everyday eye look. So I'm going to be taking this dark brown shade here and applying that to my crease. I'm also using Morphe brushes for my eye look. I would highly recommend Morphe for beginners because they're super affordable and they work so well. So now I'm going to go in with this bronzy shimmery shade and apply that to my lid. We're not going to get all fancy with a cut crease or anything like that. We're just doing a super neutral two-color look. So now before we top the look off, I'm going to set everything with this e.l.f. Dewy Coconut Setting Mist. I love the e.l.f. setting sprays. I used to use the Mist and Set one, but I saw this one at Target and I decided to try it. I love the way it smells. So now for mascara, I'm going to be using the Maybelline Sky High, of course, the best drugstore mascara on the market. And of course we're going to do a couple of coats. We're not going to do lashes just because I feel like that's a little bit hard for beginners. I mean, it's still hard for me to this day. So yeah, I'm just gonna do a couple of coats of that. And now for the lips, of course we're going to start with lip balm because you can't put lip gloss on chapped lips. So I'm going to do a couple of layers of that. And then I'm going to go in with this really pretty neutral pink Pixie lip gloss.
Okay guys, so this is the finished look. I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you guys want to see any more tutorials on how to do specific things for beginners or anything like that, let me know. And with that being said, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you next time. I'm really starting to think that that's not for me. Like, I'm starting to think that like I'm just not that type of person. So I'm gonna say if it happens, it happens.